And I'm from Juneau, but I work for a group of Unangan, Aleut people on St. Paul Island in the Bering Sea. And they are heavily invested in crab quota, which you may not know how crab management works, but it's all a quota system, and quota has value, and you have to have quota in order to go fishing for crab. And so this group of people that I work for, Central Bering Sea Fishermen's Association, bought $18 million worth of crab quota a while back, and then the crab crashed. And so we collectively became interested in bringing red king crab back from the brink, and blue king crab is in the same situation. So that's what I'm going to talk about. We started the AKCRRAB program, Alaska King Crab Research, Rehabilitation, and Biology, the world's best acronym, in my view. AKCRRAB, in 2006. In 2007, we had the first successful research level creation of juvenile crab from eggs. And we worked and worked and worked, the scientists did. I'm not a scientist, I'm just the PR guy for the scientists, basically. And we got 30% survival from egg to juvenile. And in the wild, it's like 0.000 something, you know, it's hard out there when you're not a movable creature, when you're a little bit of a shrimp-like thing, you can't hide. So it was a partnership among University of Alaska, Sea Grant, Chugach Regional Resources Commission, which is also an Alaska Native group, Alutiiq Pride, Shellfish Hatchery, NOAA, the regional fishermen's groups, and communities. And we set out to do enhancement of king crab. And right at the bottom, you can see a few pictures, but there's better pictures later on. So this right here in the middle is not quite a baby crab yet, as you can see. It's one of the 7 life stages of crab. They look like that before they look like that. And of course, that's the mama over there. So one of the theories about the decline of red king crab is that there's a recruitment threshold, a reproductive threshold, and if there aren't a lot of crab around, they don't get together enough to make enough babies. And so there's no crab recruitment of juvenile crab. And so the idea is to put the adults in a hatchery, the eggs are released, and then they hatch, we feed them. We get them through that first really difficult stage where they can't hide from their predators, and they become adults at a much higher rate than if they were in the wild from the beginning. So that's the idea. It's called a bottleneck or a reproductive threshold. I talked about this already. There's 9 red king crab stocks in Alaska. 7 of them are closed to commercial fishing because there's just not enough of them to fish. You can see this drop off here. This is the red king crab stock in the Gulf, where Kodiak used to be the king crab capital of the world. They don't fish for king crab anymore in Kodiak. They all went to the Bering Sea because that's the only place where there's king crab left. And now it's getting to be scarce there as well. So this is a messed up slide, as you can see, but basically what you have here is over there, there's the female with the eggs inside her abdomen, and she carries those eggs, and they're fertilized, and she carries them for months. And then when the temperature's right and all the other environmental characteristics of where she is, she releases those eggs. They float around until they become, they sort of hatch and they become that first life stage way over there, this one here. And then they turn into that, which looks more like a shrimp, and they get more and more crabby until they look like this. And then this is the first juvenile crab stage. That's when we release them because we've done experiments and it shows that that's the best time when they can move and hide. And then, of course, that's the adult crab in the middle. This is St. Paul. This is taken yesterday, and we have a problem because this is the harbor, and that's a foot of ice. And so one of the unforeseen situations happened, and now we can't get seawater out of the harbor because it's frozen solid. And so that's just one of our problems from yesterday. But this right here This is the Trident seafood plant. And inside that plant, we built a big box, and it's a king crab hatchery. It's the first king crab hatchery in North America. And right there on St. Paul, in the middle of nowhere. This is a town of about 350 people. And here's the hatchery. It's not finished. You can still see some of the work going on, but this is the box where we're going to raise king crab on not a commercial level exactly, but at production levels that will actually make a difference. Those are the tanks that we're going to grow Artemia in to feed the baby crab while they're developing. Obviously, they're not hooked up yet. The people you see, we're employing 3 people from St. Paul and St. George, all Unangan natives who were born and raised in the Pribilof Islands. So it's kind of an economic boon to the community, which is now suffering because there's no crab being processed in that Trident plant, because there's no crab to catch, basically. This is not our hatchery. This is taken in our research hatchery work. These are just another picture of the eggs inside the mother, adult crab. And this is a picture of how small those hatchlings are. They look like this up close, but you can barely see them. They're not microscopic, but they're like little dots. And that's the first crab stage. It's called C1. And that's the stage at which they actually have volitional movement. We expect to get our first brood stock in April. We're getting them from a survey cruise. It's being done by ADF&G, Alaska Department of Fish and Game, bringing the crab back to St. Paul. And then by July, probably, they'll be at the C1 stage, and we can release them into the wild. And it'll be probably between 250,000 to 1 million juvenile crab, depending on how good our survival rates are. So it's a start, and so that's the St. Paul crab hatchery.